Hi, everyone. I'm Jim White with RealityCheck. Welcome to the 10%, which is our video blog series. I thought today it might be worthwhile to spend some time talking about why we call this the 10%, what that means, and in so doing, give you some tips for ways that you might find what matters most in your data. These days, market researchers have access to an unprecedented amount of data about their customers. Most corporations do some form of social media listening. They have communities or panels that they're tapping into constantly. Most do some form of CX, customer experience tracking, or and subscribe to syndicated data services about their categories. And that's all in addition to the custom research that gets done. So, today, access to data about the consumer is not the problem. The problem is what to make of all of these data, this information, how to manage it, and how to find what really matters in your data. At RealityCheck, we try to live by what we call the 90-10 rule, which means we apply 90% of our efforts against the 10% we think that matters most to our clients. And uncovering that is what we really try to do in our study design, in our analysis, and then communicating that in our reporting. For us, it's the lead, the 10%. It's the signal in the noise. It's what matters most. And that's what we want to build our stories around in our analysis. I used to be a former journalist, and for a newspaper reporter, that is the lead. That's the 10% for them. The new information, the relevant information to your audience that they don't already know. And I think that oftentimes, in the consumer insights business, we're in the same situation as journalists, which is if you don't hook your audience with new information that matters to them right off the bat, you're going to lose them. I mean, we're dealing with busy senior level executives, brand directors in delivering our insights. And, these folks don't have time to sift through a 100-page deck. So the 10% is all about uncovering what matters most and delivering it to that audience right off the bat. So, let me give you some tips for ways to think about the 10% in your data in ways that you might be able to uncover that 10%, find what matters most in your data. Okay, so 4 tips for uncovering the 10% in your data. First of all, you have to know what you're looking for. So how do we define the 10%? Well, there's really 2 criteria that I think are important. The first is the 10% is new. It's a new insight. It's something your audience doesn't already know. And that's important. That's what they're going to be looking for, and that's what you should deliver right off the bat. Now, saying that a 10% insight is new doesn't mean it has to be something that's coming out of left field. In fact, if you're dealing with an audience of stakeholders that know their category at all, they're probably going to know something about the insights that you're delivering already. More often than not, a 10% insight is new in the sense that it's a reframe of existing beliefs or assumptions about the consumer, about the category. It's a twist on what they already know, or perhaps it challenges some of those assumptions, but it's new news. It's the new information, and that's the 10% that you should be focusing on. Secondly, the 10% is an insight that matters. Now, this may seem obvious, but it's an important point because you want your 10% insight to focus on the major study objectives. It should be a direct hit on the primary reason you're doing the study in the first place. It's oftentimes easy to find new insights in some obscure part of your data set, but that's not a 10% insight. A 10% insight, as I said, is a direct hit on the primary objectives of the study. It's what the study is all about. So just, know what you're looking for is the first step to uncovering the 10%. And that is the new news, the twist on existing beliefs or assumptions, the reframe for your audience. And then secondly, it's addressing something that is directly related to the major study objectives, what your audience cares about the most. Okay, number 2, don't bury the lead. So you've uncovered your 10% insight. You found something that's new that your audience doesn't already know about and that matters to them. Don't bury it. This is an expression from journalism. If you don't put what is the new information that matters for your audience in the first paragraph, the first sentence even, you're burying the lead. And we don't want to do that in the insights business either. That 10% insight should be on your first slide. It should be in your first paragraph. It should be in your first sentence. You need to hit your audience with it right off the bat, hook them into your story, and then build the story around that 10% insight. Sometimes when I talk about this, I'll have someone in the audience or in a workshop say, well, don't you have to sort of build the case before your big reveal, build credibility? I always feel that that's risky. I mean, you can do it, but 99.9% of the time, I think that sort of slow burn approach does risk losing your audience. It's like, get to the point. If you've got that 10% insight, man, deliver it right off the bat. Deliver it right in that first sentence, that first paragraph. So your stakeholders know it, it's provocative, they're thinking about it, and then you support it with data that sort of builds that story. Okay, number 3, keep it tight. You want a tight, concise story around your 10% insight. You've led with it, you've hit your audience with it right off the bat. Construct the rest of your story that you're telling in your deck or in your top line, however you're conveying your information, around that 10% insight, and leave it at that. I think as market researchers, we're oftentimes compelled to over-report information. And, I get it. You spend weeks, sometimes months, immersed in a project. You've got a lot of great information to share. You want to share all of it. And that, I think, oftentimes causes us to sort of defer to tonnage. Sometimes we do it because we're really attached to the project and we want to share all this great information with our stakeholders. Other times, I think we do it because we kind of want to beat them into submission with everything we have to fend off any pushback or criticism. So we just bury them in data graphics and information. But my only word of advice here is don't. Resist the temptation toward tonnage. Keep your story nice and tight so those 10% insights come through with clarity and they're remembered by your audience, because insights that are remembered are the ones that get acted upon, and that's ultimately your goal. As a consumer insights person, you want your internal stakeholders to do something based on what you're finding. Oftentimes, people want to include additional information that isn't directly related to the 10%, and that's fine. Put it in the appendix. In fact, including an appendix in your deck or your top line can be very liberating. It's a great thing to do. All of that additional information you feel compelled to hand over, put it in the appendix. But the main body of your analysis, keep it tight around your primary 10% insights. Okay, final point here. Design with the 10% in mind. A lot of what I've been talking about so far is focused on analysis and really sort of the reporting of the 10%. But really, if you want to deliver 10% insights, it begins way earlier than that. It begins with how you design your study, and it really even begins with how you think about your study objectives. If you're really thinking about your study objectives and listening to your team in a way that tees you up to find those 10% insights, you're going to be better off on the back end. Think about, when you listen to your team talk about their objectives, think about the assumptions that underlie those, the beliefs that underpin them. Can you challenge those in your study design? Think about ways that you can explore different aspects of your consumer's life and experiences that may be related to the study objectives, but that you really haven't explored yet. I mean, we spend so much time zeroed in on the consumer part of people, the way people buy, make brand choices, shop. We spend very little time taking a step back and thinking about the human aspects of people and how that might be related to our study objectives. And doing that can really help reveal some fresh insights, some 10% insights. And also think about how you're building in interesting sort of points of comparison, reference points, points of variance in your analysis, all of which can tee up unique, fresh 10% insights when you get to analysis. So don't start thinking about this after you've done your field work. You want to be thinking about this when you're designing that study to stack the deck in your favor of uncovering new news that matters to your constituents. So there you have it, a few tips for uncovering the 10% in your data. I hope you found something here that's interesting to you and that you can use. As always, feel free to comment. I'd love to hear ways that you find fresh insights, new insights that matter to your stakeholders and how you report those. Until next time, I'm Jim White with RealityCheck. Talk to you soon.